All right. How's everybody doing this? It's not morning, it's not afternoon. This 1 minute after 12 on Sunday. Uh, oh man, it's been a lazy morning so far. Kyle, Kyle is distracting me currently. He's awake and he is in the kitchen, which is on the opposite of this wall, and he's making pancakes and singing at the same time. So I'm hearing all the noise. So it's distracting. Hey Jackson, how you doing, bud? Good afternoon. Exactly. I got a bit of a headache today, so I'll be drinking a little bit extra water. Oh man. Um, boy, oh boy, I had a good time last night, and I'll tell you why. Because um, about an hour before the game, I made the mistake of going on Twitter. I got to stop making that mistakes. I hadn't really been on there in like 10 days, and it's just the cesspool. It's just it's just the people. It's just not a good place to be if you want calm, rational, intellectually honest conversation. And long story short, is there's was a bunch of people, um, you know, lamenting that we did not have Patrick Kane, but instead we had Nick Cousins, and kind of got into it a little bit. And then I just ignore it after a while because it's just not worth the time to argue with people. But the fact that Cousins got the first goal last night made me smile. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. I got a good giggle out of that. Hey, Metal, how you doing, buddy? So and then Forsling, good lord, man, the dude, that's how many clones of this guy do we have? He makes the play in overtime, then he loses the puck. Bennett gets it back at the line. Forsling already taken off, and the shot got past the goalie, and that's all that matters. Hey, Vincent. Yeah, it's too warm. It's too warm to wear the jersey in here. Um, Plus it was sitting on it's hanging up all the way over there. I didn't want to get up and get it on, but it was too warm in here when I came in. So because I had to walk the dogs around, and he had me out there for a little bit of an extra time today. So yeah, all aboard the Gus bus. That's the one thing. We talk about Reinhardt. Forsling needs a contract too, right? Pacharo, are we in first place? Or I think we're a point behind, right? We're a point behind, right? I know with a game in hand we would be. Um, it's funny because yeah, Bruins have 81, we have 80, but we have a game in hand. Um, it's funny because in the end of the recap, um, I said Boston was currently winning 2-0, so they'll probably win that game. And they didn't score again. And then Vancouver beat them in overtime 3-2. Boston got a point, Pacharo. So Boston is still points wise in first place. I know, right, Jackson? I was looking at that. The Bruins have 13 overtime losses. Yeah, that'll all sort itself out, right? And another thing, I talk about this a lot, but I was looking at the Leafs, and what the Leafs are going through right now is a prime example of why I say it's just so damn hard to catch teams, because the Leafs have won 7 in a row. They've won 7 in a row, but they have not caught us. They have not caught up at all in points, like nothing. Both teams are 8-2 in their last 10. So, you can go on a hot streak all you want, but if the other team don't lose, you're not catching them. Hey, Rosado, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, please. Which one, right? There's a bunch of them. Metal says Gus keeps proving himself. He's the most underrated defenseman in the league, in your opinion. Hey, Trey, yeah, the team stinks. I know. They did stink for about 57 minutes yesterday, right? Yeah, I don't know what do you guys think you give Forsling, right? Because he would get paid on the open market, and he's a waiver wire pickup. This is his shot. Forsling is This is his contract, man. So, you know, how do you look at Forsling and tell him he can't get paid as much as Uyghur? I don't see how now. I don't see how we signed everybody, but again, we've gone over it. If we move a couple guys, we can. Reinhardt's quite streaky, slow start, hot start, right? Well, I mean, what's it? 5 games he hasn't had a goal, right? I mean, I wouldn't quite call that a slump just yet. I know you didn't say that, but um, we'll see how the next 5 go. We'll see how the next 5 go. If he starts picking it up and gets another 2 or 3 in a row, last night he didn't have a whole lot of chances, but several of the other games where he hasn't scored, I know he hit the post. He's been getting chances. He's still playing well. Last night nobody really had a ton of opportunities. We were not in sync all that much. Rosado says 7 years, $6.5 million average. And I hope you're right, Rosado, because those are the numbers. That's what we have. I talked about that yesterday, right? You know, that's what we have for Montour and Forsling is 6, maybe 7 million, and Reinhardt can get 9. And I think that's kind of what, Zito was saying when he says I'm putting Trey in timeout. I'm putting Trey in timeout. Or maybe I will. What how do we get to Hall & Oates? What did I miss? Rosario says you're working on a big video about Hall & This I gotta see. This has gone off the rails early on a Sunday morning. Don't take advantage of me. I got a bad headache right now. I almost didn't show up because I got a headache. So don't take advantage of don't be elder abusing me. Trey, you're still here, Trey. Once you get the caricature, you're immune from bans. The app won't let me. Once you get a caricature, you're safe. Unless you start texting, my biggest supporters, then we could have a problem. Metal says, I bet once Tkachuk is back, Rhino will score from that bumper position in the PP again. Yeah, the power play without Tkachuk is definitely not nowhere near the same. Absolutely nowhere near the same. I think that I don't know how they worked it last night, but in the times when Tkachuk's not there, I wish they would just put Barkov behind the net because I believe that Barkov could facilitate the same way that Chucky does from behind the net, right? Christopher says, would I prefer to win the Cup and President's Trophy or just the Cup by itself if I could choose? I mean, I'll say this. I would prefer to be able to do both only because if you got to a game 7 in the Cup finals, if we're going to win the Cup, if I already know we're winning the Cup based on how you're saying it, I would want to win the President's Trophy because that would give us a game 7 at home, and then the home crowd will get to, experience the winning of the Cup. Rosado says I'm working on a video about how Hall & Oates and the most overrated band in history of bands. Okay. All right. Right into timeout for Rosado. I would, Rosado, if there was a 30-second timeout, I'd put you in it. Vincent says Forsling looks like a missed opportunity for Bill. He should have signed him during the summer. Gus not perfect. And as a waiver pickup, he should be a steal of all time. Now he might become expensive. I understand what you're saying. I was kind of surprised we didn't sign more contracts over the summer. That's really actually a good point, Vincent. I was kind of surprised. The only guy that got extended was Luosterainen, right? But Vincent, I think if you follow the money, the thing that kind of might put a damper on that is Spencer Knight, right? Because you didn't know over the summer, you really didn't know what you should or could have would have done with Spencer Knight. And if you move on from him, then the contracts are different, right? Hey, Jonathan, thank you, buddy. Thank you, Jonathan. Much appreciated. He says, Gus saying I'm worth as much as Seth Jones, 8x9 million. We have to win this year. Our defense will be thinner next year. Don't feel good about Reinhardt. Probably asking north of 10x8, if not signed by now. I would love to disagree with you. I would love to disagree with you and be positive about it, but I would love to disagree with you, but I can't. The Reinhardt thing, I've talked about that. It doesn't make any sense why we haven't gotten anybody signed yet. Because even if you move on from Spencer Knight and Rodriguez, if you move on from Spencer Knight and Rodriguez, you still don't have room to give Forsling that kind of money. The thing that might help us with Forsling is he's not a big points guy, right? So I don't know if we can. I mean, I don't know about 8.9. I'm not saying he wouldn't be asking for that. We could, let's put it this way. If we moved on from Montour, if we moved Knight, Rodriguez, all right, you move on from Spencer Knight, you move Rodriguez, you give Sam Miskevich Rodriguez his spot next year, and you move on from Montour, there's money to give everybody else whatever they want. So I hate losing guys, but the money is there if Zito can make the right moves. Knight, Rodriguez, and Montour, and then when I say everybody else, what I mean is the following year we wouldn't have to worry about Verhaeghe and Bennett. Rosado says Gus getting 6, and I'm willing to bet money on that. He probably if he would probably take 8x6. I don't know though. 8x9, 8x6, cut it in half, 8x7.5. We have that. Of course, watch, we're going to wake up one morning and he's going to have moved Ekblad and all the problems are solved. No offense, Ekblad. I'm talking money. Chris says, would you like Knight to return to Arnett, or would you rather see him move out of his point? No, Chris, I talk about that a lot on the members podcast. For his sake, I would like to see him get moved so that to a place where he's going to play. Because I believe that part of the reason he's had struggles is just basically knowing that pretty much no matter what, he was blocked from the beginning, from like the time we drafted him. He was just blocked by an unmovable contract. So I would, considering our cap situation and the fact that he's not really contributing anything to the team right now, and the fact that we've got Luongo on board and we keep, we're drafting other goalies and we've got other guys, and you throw in, you see like Ullmark was a free agent. Aiden Hill was just was not somebody that was highly touted. So you can find gold in the goaltending department if you need to. So yeah, I would move on from Spencer Knight because it helps him and it helps us. Now, somebody had mentioned they didn't think that anybody would trade for Knight's contract and that we would buy him out. And I believe that would cost us like $750 against the cap. I certainly wouldn't. I can't disagree about the contract. That's a lot of money to pay for a backup goaltender. But we'll see. I think a lot of these moves aren't going to happen until after the season's over. Vincent says, I suspect Bill sees Reinhardt. $9 million for Reinhardt is too much. He says, clearly his fair price is 8, so there's a gap to close. The problem with that is the Nylander contract. I mean, even when you take taxes into consideration, if you wanted to say the 11.5 is in Toronto, is 9 in Florida. I mean, I would be, what's the word I would use? I don't know if I would use devastated, but I would be shocked. I'm not saying you're wrong, Vincent, because you could be right. You could very well be in the ballpark of what's going on there. But I would be shocked if Zito decided to lose him over the $1 million. right? Unless he somehow, when we know we're losing Reinhardt, unless he somehow signs for Hagee and Bennett to extensions to help, make up for things. Jonathan says, if Reinhardt wants more than 10, love him, but let him walk. Yeah, everybody looking at cap percentage now, not that many mils per year. Yeah, I mean, more than 10, that he can't have that. No, 9. 9 is well paid for him. You know what I mean? I mean, if he wants to give us a hometown discount or whatnot, I mean, 8x8, certainly he could go somewhere else and get more, but he has to change teams. You're not playing in Florida. You might have to pay taxes, stuff like that. But more than 10 would be too much. So, but don't leave out, like I said with Rodriguez. Rodriguez is on a deal that would be tradable. And I know he's kind of important to this team right now, the way it's constructed. But I do believe in Sam Miskevich. I do believe that we could get production from him on that third line, if that's the move that we had to make, right? Like I've said before, I hate that we lost John Ludwig, because he would have been a good young defenseman to put in there. Because, if you watch that press conference Bill Zito gave, he talked about guys that he asked, hey, come here and kickstart your career, get things going again. That to me, like I said, it sounds like OEL. And he's played well enough to where he'd probably be able to get, a 2 or 3 year deal somewhere else, that probably a little bit more money than we can afford. Mel says, do I think Lomberg and other third or fourth line players, other third or fourth liners get pay cuts for more room, or do they go to the trade approach solely? There's really not a lot of room. Luosterainen's contract bumps up to $3 million next year. Lundell's an RFA. He's going to get somewhere between $2 and $3 million. Talked about Rodriguez. If you want to move him out and put Sam Miskevich in, that saves us $2 million. In terms of the fourth line, Lomberg makes $800,000. Just extend him, right? Lockwood is a young guy. Gadjevich is a young guy. Lockwood and Gadjevich are the future. And I don't mean any disrespect to Lomberg and Cousins, but they are approaching 30 years old. Gadjevich and Lockwood, that's the future. Now, in terms of Stenlund, I think he's making 1.1. That's a guy that could probably go elsewhere and get a 2 or 3 year deal for maybe 2.5 somewhere. He's one of those guys that's going to have to want to stay for maybe a little bit less money that he could get on the open market. But I don't know if you're going to have all four. Because Cousins needs a contract too. Cousins is getting $1.1 million. He would have to probably take a pay cut to stay, but I don't think they'll do that. I think Lockwood / Gadjevich will be the Cousins replacement for next year. I think you'll see us extend Lomberg, and then Stenlund is up in the air. I'd really like to see him stay, because, on the times when we need to move centers up, Stenlund has done a decent job at 3C and gotten some goals. Vincent says, I see Sam Miskevich as a given replacement for Erod. Same size, same hands, same style, more talent. Yeah. And that might be exactly what one of the things that Zito is talking about when he says he has a plan. Because that's $2 million you're going to save there. So and I would be happy to see that, man. You guys know I like to see our young players that we draft that aren't necessarily the Barkovs and the Hubertos and the Ekblads. I like to see the guys that were mid to lower picks in the first round develop and actually get to stay with the team, right? Because other than those guys that I mentioned, and obviously Huberto's gone, for years, those guys have either not made it or we've traded them away, right? There's a video from like 2018. It might have been 2018, 2019. In my season preview, I have Borgstrom and Tippett penciled into the lineup to start. And, obviously we know what happened with both of those guys. And so I would just love to see Sam Miskevich actually get over the hump, take that last step and force Maurice to be like, okay, or Zito by, nature of the roster construction, kind of force Maurice to say, play the kid, right? I'm not signing anybody else, Paul. That's the guy that you got, right? Yeah, I like Lockwood. I like him, man. Yeah, Lockwood and Gadjevich they've got like that Lombard type of energy to them. You know what I mean? So, and Lombard, like I said, I think Lombard's going to be 30. I think he's 29. Let me make sure about that. I know Cousins is 30. Lombard is, that's not. What did they give me? Ryan Reeves. I put in Lombard. Yeah, he's 29. So he'll be 30. He'll be 30 next year. So you know how that goes once they start hitting 30. So hopefully we're able to keep both of those guys. And then, it's just a matter of, let me see, what does Rosado say? I would use the money to sign Reinhardt. Use the money to sign Reinhardt, to sign 2 other players that can score in free agency. There's no room. I think what Rosado is saying is you would not sign Reinhardt and you would replace him with 2 players. I don't like that idea. Reinhardt does too many things for this team. He does too many things for this team. And that is one of the difficult things that we have, is that we have so many unique players that you can notice the difference when one guy is out. You see exactly what that player does that nobody else on the ice can do. You know what I mean? When for the most part, when Barkov, Bennett, Tkachuk, Reinhardt, Verhaeghe, right? When any one of those 5 guys are out, you see exactly on the ice. It's like, there's nobody there to do that because we've got these unique talents. So it's not Moneyball. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of saying, okay, we need to replace Reinhardt's 40 goals or whatever it is that he ends up with. He does too many things. So the money's there. The money is there. Let me go back up here. Christopher says, if that's how it goes when they hit 30, please somebody explain Ovi. Yeah, well, grinders, right? Grinders, especially 4 flying guys, like Nola Chari. He still plays decent, but that was one of the reasons why we got rid of him, was because, his body was just breaking down. Those guys were always, taking all the hits and blocking shots and the way that they play. Nick Cousins, geez, yesterday, Mantha, is that the guy he took on, right? And Cousins is like a foot shorter than him, and Cousins' face was already screwed up from taking that high stick the night before. And poor Cousins, man, he got pummeled last night, man. Trey, let's trade for Owen Tippett. Oh boy, you're just trolling me now. Yeah, Ovi is every once in a while you get those guys. Look at Yager. Look at how long he was able to play. And he still looks like he could play. You know what I mean? But no, I'm happy with how things went last night, because I don't want people worried, man. This team, like I said, I had made the mistake of going on to Twitter before the game. I hadn't been on there in so long, and I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I think I'm going to go and I'm going to see the fan base just having a great time. And half the fan bases was, I guess, because the Wings were playing before the game and Kane got a goal or something. And so people are all, kvetching about how we didn't get Patrick Kane. And I'm like, I don't think our fan base has quite realized that we are the Eastern Conference champions, and it wasn't close. I think our fan base hasn't digested that fact yet. It wasn't close. The Boston was close, but we won eight of the last last 9 games in the final 2 rounds of the playoffs. That don't just happen. We're the champs. We didn't finish, but in terms of the Eastern Conference, I mean, and it's the same guys except for it's Rodriguez instead of Duclair. And we improved on defense. So I go to Twitter and I'm like, are these guys watching the same team? We've been waiting 30 years to have this team. You know what I mean? And people are still complaining about it. So when we won last night, I was happy because I'm just like, I had enough of the bitching and complaining. And I said it last night. This should be nobody. If I'm not complaining, nobody should be complaining. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, go watch the first 4 years of videos on this channel. Okay. I'm sick of complaining. I nitpick and I see things because I'm a coach. But when these guys decide that they're going to play to the best of their ability and it's playoff time, we won 8 of the last 9 games. So I don't know what else to say. All right, Metal. Chris says, I hope we play Tampa this postseason. We have a score to settle. I think we can win in 5, maybe 6. Yeah, I think we would have too much youth, too much energy for Tampa. It would be tough, but Vasilevsky would have to steal that. Jonathan says, if Zito has to choose between Swaggy and Reinhart to pay top dollar, I'm thinking he's choosing Swaggy. I would too. Would love to send players. We couldn't sign to get a player like Lawson Krause. If only we had drafted Lawson Krause, Jonathan. You know what I mean? If only we had drafted a guy like Lawson Krause. I agree with you. If you had to have one, I would want Verhaeghe instead of Reinhart. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't miss Reinhart, because we would. But what Verhaeghe does for us and the type of game he plays, it's just, you need a goal, just give it to Verhaeghe. You got 40 seconds left, give it to Verhaeghe. And it's you have to have that guy. Every team, if you want to win a cup, you've got to have that guy. If you don't have that guy in net, right, you've got to have a guy that can just aim and shoot and do it. And I wouldn't want to lose either one, but I agree that I think that would be the choice that Zito would make. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, I missed a couple things here. Great White wants to know if I would get Bob another rest next game, just get Stoli 2 games. I don't think Zito's going to do that. Too many days off, because Bubba played Thursday. So if we didn't play him again on Tuesday, now he's off for a week. That's probably too long for him to be off. And we have a stretch of games coming the following week where we have a back-to-back on the road. So Stolars is going to get his time in. iDog says people who root for South Florida teams are too used to the Marlins, Dolphins, and Panthers sucking. We don't know how to handle it when even one is doing well. It's kind of true, though. And it's not even being critical. It's kind of true. You know, they don't. I know the Heat won last year, but they're not in the same. They're not in the same boat as the Panthers. It's been since the Marino years. It's been since the Marino years, and follow me here, since the South Florida team won a conference championship and came back the next season and was expecting to even do better. It's been that long, because each time the Marlins won the World Series, they and I know you're going to say the Heat. Each time the Marlins won the World Series, they blew it up. The Heat, I'll give you the Heat, but the Heat was a little bit different because that wasn't like a homegrown team that had like gathered momentum and eventually won. They just brought in the guys and bought the championship. It hasn't happened like this in South Florida, where a team developed and got good and was expected to stay good for a while because of proper management since 84, 85 with Marino, to be honest. Exactly, Jackson. No complaints. Jonathan says, we do not need Kane. He'll not work in this system. His hip won't hold up for the amount of skating that Maurice requires. And that might be why he chose Detroit over Florida. I don't disagree there at all. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom because I missed a couple things. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Rosado, right? Yeah. Chad says, I agree. Jonathan Kane worked well in Q's system, but I don't see him working with Maurice. And that's the other part to it. And this even goes for Nick Cousins. Like when Cousins was playing with Lundell and Lustrine, it wasn't working. That's not the kind of player that line needs, right? It's not that kind of player that they need. But what Cousins does for Bennett and Tkachuk when they're rolling is he takes some of the heat off and the physicality off of Bennett and Tkachuk and gives them a little bit of space because Cousins can go around hitting people too. Is he a finisher? No. Have I complained about him? Yes. But I do agree with Maurice that the proper spot for him in terms of how this team is constructed is on the second line. I mean, he just fits what they do. Would I like to see him be able to get a little bit more skilled and finish more? Yes. But it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So as long as he finishes on occasion, you know what I mean? You take him out of that. You take that plug out of the boat. You put in an unknown piece there, and you don't know how it's going to work. And you don't. You can guess, but you don't. Like when we got Reinhardt, they thought for sure he goes with Barkov. And it took 3 years, right? It's been 3 years before it actually clicked with Barkov. So you can take a guy and think that's going to work together. But there's no guarantee that that's going to be the way that how it's going to go. So I understand the people who, and I've been there, being critical of Cousins and wanting to make that move. I've been one of them when he was on the third line, but it works. It works with him on the second line. Is he going to get 40 goals? No, but chemistry wise, it works. You listen to Tkachuk, you listen to Bennett talk about the guy, and you cannot listen to what those two players are saying about him and think this is a guy that we should move on from. That's an important part of it. Don't forget, when we had Billy Lindsay on the podcast, he talked about he was on that 96 team, and then the following year, he talked about how when they traded Stu Barnes, it gutted the locker room. And on paper, what GM Brian Murray was thinking wasn't really wrong. What he was thinking was that we needed to get bigger to be able to beat the bigger teams on a consistent basis. But, he traded Stu Barnes, who was, he went on to basically, I think he might have been in the Hall of Fame. He's like a borderline Hall of Fame guy. When you look at the numbers that he had after he left Florida. And it's just not always about the points. It's just not always about the points. When you have a team like the Panthers, we got our guys that are going to get our goals. We've got those guys. You've got certain guys that are going to be the glue, chemistry-wise. The same thing with Ryan Lomberg. You can put Ryan Lomberg on any line, and for at least for 2 games, and you're going to be like, oh, maybe he could play there. Now, long term, it doesn't work out, right? But somebody gets injured. We've seen it before. Lomberg's played on the top line, and for at least a game or two, he's like, "Come on, let's go, bring it. I can skate with these guys." So, I'm just I can't believe what Zito's been able to pull off in terms of where we came from, right? Where we were when I started the channel. We'll just go there. And he wasn't even in charge of things. But we had just blown the whole thing up and done the analytics and remade everything. And we sucked. We sucked again. And Zito walks in and it's like, here you go, Bill. Like he said in that interview. Vinny told him to change the whole culture because he felt like it was a country club. And Zito did it his way. And I'm just in amazement at what he's been able to pull off, considering the $10 million goalie, because he handed him a Ferrari, but the transmission was broke. And he said, you got a Ferrari, the transmission broke, but I'm not going to give you money to fix the transmission. You have to make this Ferrari run, but you got to fix the transmission yourself with old parts. And that's what he did. And now Bubba's purring like a machine. It's beautiful. Curtis says the Atlantic is tough. You can argue that Florida top team. Well, yeah, I talked about that. The Final Four, no disrespect to any other teams, okay? But the Final Four should kind of be Canes, Rangers, Panthers, Bruins. Well, I talked about this yesterday. So whoever survives that foursome, they're gonna have no healthy bodies left, right? There's no Edmonton in the East, right? And I'm not saying Edmonton's a softie, but you're not worried about getting physical with the Oilers. You know what I mean? Panthers, Bruins, Canes, Rangers. I mean, you might win, but they're gonna beat the crap out of you. So, and it's just such a shame how it went down, because I did think last year that, okay, we had that, we had all those tough physical games, but we made the series against the Canes as short as it could kind of technically be, except for game one. But I really thought that rest would help, but it didn't. It didn't even help the injuries that they had, because that's when things start to, you kind of just need to keep the injury loose and keep playing. So it's kind of a shame the way it went down. Chad says, you're not the only one who thinks that'll be your Rangers, Panthers, EC. No, if I had money, I would. Let's put it this way. What I'm hoping for, and I hope this doesn't backfire on me, what I'm hoping is that the Flyers sneak by the Canes and the Rangers, and then we get the Flyers in the conference finals. And I'm not trying to disrespect the Flyers, but the Rangers, especially that one new kid that they brought up that's as big as a Sasquatch. I'm not afraid of the Rangers, but I'm thinking about in my head, I'm thinking we're going to win the series. I want to win the cup too. And with all due respect, playing the Flyers probably be a little bit easier physically than the Rangers and that freaking 10-foot dude. No, I'm not yelling we want Philadelphia. I'm definitely not yelling that. Trey. Oh, my God, Trey. Oh, my eyes are bleeding. Oh, my God. Somebody ban Trey. Jesus. Vincent says, yeah, people don't realize Zito built this roster like an expansion team. Yeah, it's been something to see. And that's the one thing I said before, is that when I'm talking about, the moves and everything, I'm not worried. Like, I think we all know, I said this, we all know that next year we're going to be marveling at how he pulled it off again. It's just curiosity is killing me. I just want these contracts done. I just want to know what we're doing. Man, I just want to know what we're doing. I want to be in on the meetings, damn it. That's actually what I really want, is I just want to be in on the meetings, right? So for all I know, my videos are like the first thing they play. Well, Jaws said, go get Kachuk, so go get him, dumbass. Right? If they weren't before, they should have been after, right? Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm terrified, IDK, but physicality wise, you know, um, it's going to be a grind, and that's part of the reason why these guys aren't playing every night hardcore like we were last year. Somebody had made a comment in the recap. Um, Said, Jaws, remember that we had these guys last year, but we didn't win. Well, some of that's true, but a lot of the reason why we didn't win is because of the incredible, insane, ridiculous, stupid pace that we had to keep from like January on because we were so far behind in the standings. And this year is a completely different story. I mean, let's be honest. We coasted last night, and that might be an insult to coasting. We played for 2 minutes at the end of the game and tied it, and then we won it in overtime. Let's just be honest, okay? If we played that game against Boston, we probably lose 8-0, okay? We pretty much just coasted. They were so loose on the puck. It was like they were literally, some of these guys looked like they were sleepwalking. Chad says Carolina scares you. Knows. I'll tell you the thing about Carolina, man. It don't matter who they put in net. It doesn't matter against us for Carolina. It doesn't matter who they put in net. We're going to get 2, maybe 3. And it might take us 7 periods to get the third one, right? Yeah, Carolina, I still feel the same way about Carolina that I did last year. I believe in the end we would win that series because they don't have Carter Verhaeghe. Okay, you see what Verhaeghe did last night to Washington, all right? When it's been, 1-1 for 40 minutes, just give the puck to Verhaeghe. He'll make it happen. Jonathan says, I don't know why people are worried about facing the Leafs suddenly. Nobody in the Atlantic worries me. I don't like the Rangers in the ECF. Honestly, we don't match up well against the New York, New Jersey teams. I mean, the Rangers they got to win. They got to get through their own gauntlet there. Their first round, we don't know who they're going to end up playing yet. I wouldn't use the word scared. I would hope, let's put it this way. That's the one team that makes me want to win the conference in terms of top seed. Because I would want to start that series off at home, and I would want to have Game 7 at home. That's the one team. I'm not really so worried about Boston in terms of that way. I mean, obviously, Boston can win the games, but we've shown that we can win in Boston. I would not want to start off the first 2 games, at the Rangers. I wouldn't feel good about that. I'd want to have those 2 at home. And then obviously Game 7 if it got that far. Robert says we played just above the level of our competition last night and then turned it on at the very end. Yep, that's exactly right. Jonathan says, would not be shocked if Zito pulls the trigger on moving a piece or 2. We can't sign for somebody else with the exception of Reinhart. Sucks losing good talent for nothing. Florida more skilled than Carolina. You're talking about if he moved one of the UFAs. I'm trying to think of who he would actually possibly move. I can't agree. I don't think he's going to move anybody. He's not going to move Reinhardt. He's not going to move Montour. Certainly not going to move Forsling. Right? I know I keep saying it, but I would be shocked. And disappointed. I would be both shocked and disappointed if we kept Spencer Knight and it cost us Montour or Reinhart, especially Reinhart. Maybe, Montour, you want to argue about that, fine, whatever. But I would be highly, highly disappointed if keeping Spencer Knight and his potential is what cost us Reinhart. I would really be surprised if that happened. Gray White says Vinny has a drone over the house. The room is definitely bugged. I know the room is bugged because if you watch the streams, there's at least 2 or 3 times a night where I say something and then like 10 seconds later, Randy literally says the same words that I said to describe something. It happens at least once every stream. It's crazy. So I know they've got a bug in the room, which is why I don't understand. I keep waiting for the checks. They're using my information, but I haven't got no checks, no PayPal, no Venmo, nothing. They haven't said. I don't even have like a signed jersey from them. I got nothing from them, man. I don't understand. At least Chucky could have done is sent me like 1%. Come on, Chucky. 1% of that contract. I earned it. I'm the one that spoke it into existence. 0.5%, right? Come on, I'll be rich. 0.5%. What is that? What is that? What do you get? 8 times 9.5, 72. 1% of 72 million is what's that? 720,000. 0.5% is like 365,000. I'll take that as my finder's fee. Yeah, I'll take that. Vincent says, by the way, Eric, was life coaching profitable in my case? Why did I stop? You sub to the men's channel. Thank you, Vincent. It is profitable. It was good for me when I was doing massage because the massage clients, they wanted to talk. And so instead of giving away free time with them talking, I said I became a life coach. And then that's how that came. And the main reason, I wouldn't say I stopped. It's just getting clients is like a full-time job. It's like you got to have a YouTube channel and a Facebook group, and you got to pay for advertising. And, especially where I live, it's not like I'm going to get local clients. There's nobody here. So to get clients online, there's like this whole investment of time and money that if you have success, yes, it can be very profitable. But I have a few people that contact me when they need stuff, and they send people my way. And, but it's just not worth the time for me to, I tried it with the whole Facebook group and all of that. And it's just not for me. I'm not, it doesn't work for me. I just want to do the work. You know what I mean? I just want to help the people. I don't want to, convince them. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to talk them into, the idea that I can help. It's just like, you trust me, you don't. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like that with everything, really. Let's see. Christopher says the choice between results Reinhardt and Spencer is not a choice. It's an obvious foregone conclusion. I hope so. Al's agreed. Yeah, forcing is a must sign. Robert says also Chucky is hurt. Should we LTIR him? No, he's going to be in on Tuesday, according to coach. According to Maurice, he was only out yesterday out of precaution, and he was tracking to be in on Tuesday. I wish I had an inside source. I would be honest. I mean, I would be quiet. Like, I wouldn't come on and tell you guys, but I'm like curiosity again. I want to know if I'm right about it being the scar tissue, right? Because they could tell us that. They're not going to target him over that. It's actually a good thing if that's what it was. But curiosity is killing me. I'm dying to know, but nobody's going to tell me. Nobody's going to tell me nothing. I understand that. Ryan says other teams know the Panthers' predicament and will send low ball offers for night. I'll answer both questions. No, we get $1.1 million of cap relief, Ryan, because he's in Charlotte. So he still counts basically 3.5 against the cap, even though he's in Charlotte. So that's why I keep saying moving him would solve a lot of our financial problems. In terms of lowballing for night, yeah, we're either going to have to give him away or, as somebody else suggested, just buy him out. Because if we buy him out, I think they said it's 750 dead cap for 2 years. I think that's what they said. So, but yeah, that's why I keep floating that as a possible way out of some of our problems, because right now it's costing us $3.5 million against the cap. So, the idea that you would lose one of our better players for the potential of what Spencer Knight would be, it That don't seem like a good business plan to me. And Cliff has a good point. Says, don't be surprised if Ekblad gets traded over the summer. I get Hubie vibes and would help free up some space for the offseason. He's on the decline in his career. No disagreement whatsoever there. I mean, that's another one. I mean, if you moved Ekblad, you could keep Spencer Knight. You know what I mean? No disagreement there. I mean, that could be part of the reason why every time Ekblad speaks, the first words out of his mouth is, I love Florida, I want to stay. Now, he does have a no move clause. Hold on a second. Let me look at that again. Let me pop this up over here. So I get my years mixed up and I want to be sure that I'm right. Let's see here. He's got a full no move clause that already kicked in. This is the last year of the full no move clause. As soon as this season is over, as soon as this, league year is over, his modified no move clause kicks in. So he has to submit a list of teams that he is either willing to go to or willing to not go to, however it works. So as soon as this league year is technically over and we're on to the next league year, we could trade him, or we could trade him before that because he could just move his, he could just waive his no move clause. Let me see. Hold on. I want to read a couple things. I see a couple questions, so just give me a second. Vincent says that's the point. Ekblad and Knight must be packaged together. Together, it's a value. Oh, that is say. Well, sign, move Ekblad, Knight, sign everybody. Give everybody $10 million. There's plenty of money. Chad, yeah, I hate to say it, but it might be time to move on from Spencer Knight. I feel bad for the guy because you also have OCD, but at the same time, we don't know if he'll be a legit goalie again. Yeah. Mike says, program question, why can't I see the chat when I don't catch the stream live? That is actually a question, Mike, that I have been investigating and trying to figure out as well. It might have something to do with the fact that I'm using StreamYard, but thank you for reminding me because it was like last week or two, I was looking at one of the streams. I'm like, I wanted the live chat to be there. And I have it in my YouTube settings. I have it set. It's supposed to still be there. I don't know if it has something to do with StreamYard or if I have to go edit something after the fact. But thank you for reminding me. I will look into that again. I'll look into that today. I've got a list of things I'm sitting and doing. So I'll look into that again today because it's actually something that I've been trying to figure out as well. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Taunt says Knight is already better than Montembeault, and the way NHL Network talks about Montembeault, you think they were talking about Carey Price. We could get a lot for Knight. We could get a lot more for Knight than people think. I don't know, man. With that contract, I don't know. That's the thing. If he had tore it up in the AHL level, yeah, maybe. But $4.5 million. Remember, I think it would still be for 2 more years, right? That's a heavy price to pay for a guy that's not just stepping in and being your starter. Cliff says, yeah, it makes too much sense for the amount of depth and cap that would open up. Brian says, it concerns me that Chucky seems to be sensitive around the old injury. Never had a fractured sternum, but I'm not sure how long it takes to really heal, but I'm hoping that it was allowed to heal. Brian, I don't want to reiterate what I've said because I've said it multiple times. I'm sure people are sick and tired of me saying it. Hey, Heather, how you doing, Coop? It's my unprofessional opinion, unprofessional opinion. Professional because I worked on athletes as a massage therapist. Unprofessional because I haven't seen the injury details. But it's my opinion that what we witnessed was him getting hit and scar tissue breaking up. And that's very, very painful. A lot of times it's more painful than the original injury. He'll be sore for a few days and he'll be fine after that. I don't know that that's what it is. That would be my guess. Because I think if it was anything other than that, he'd be out for a longer period of time. So again, I don't want anybody making a mistake that I'm saying I know something, because I don't. But I'd put money on it. Me personally, knowing what I know and seeing what I've seen over my years, I would put money on the scar tissue theory. Great White says, Jaws, do we really need Knight anymore? I mean, I hate to put it that way, but no. I mean, I hate to put it that way. The best thing that we could do, I've said this before, best thing we could do, and this solves all of our problems, all the financial problems. You move Knight, you swap Rodriguez out for Sam Miskevich, you move on from Ekblad, you extend Bubba Brewski for an extra 2 years at $5 per, and you give Stolarz a contract to be the backup for another 3 or 4 years, and you pay him. You do that, and we're now in a 4 or 5 year cup window because we've got the money to sign everybody. And that's it. Send that clip to Bill. That's it. That's how you do it. Now, whether or not that's the route that he takes, I don't know. But if you do that, the only thing we lose that's on the ice right now is Ekblad and Rodriguez. Sam Miskevich and Rodriguez is a clean swap. And if you can sign OEL, he can certainly manage whatever Ekblad is doing. All due respect to Ekblad, but that's how I would crumble the cookie there. Ton says, all of our old goalie prospects are other teams' future franchise goalies. I think the other GMs know we had the best eye for goalie prospects. Well, Markstrom, let's be honest. I mean, you're not wrong, technically, kind of. Markstrom was so we could get Luongo back. They needed to sell tickets. Markstrom, that trade, I'm not saying it saved the franchise, but it didn't hurt. Okay, the owners they needed to sell tickets. So I have no problem at all. I know exactly why they did that. We were not in a position financially with the franchise to go through another 5-7 year development period of how long it took Markstrom to blossom and everything like that. No problem with that. The Monty thing was, it is what it was what it is. I was watching TV when Monty when he first came onto the ice, and he was at home when the crowd's yelling, Monty, Monty. I remember that. I remember exactly where I was when that happened. So again, no disagreement there. And then of course, Devon Levi, exactly. Yeah. We have a good eye. Excuse me. We have a good eye for goaltending talent. And I think somebody had dropped the name. I think it's Weber, right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But I think it's Waebear. It's not an American name, so I can't pronounce it. But I've heard from a couple people that say that they actually feel like he is going to be better than Spencer Knight. Eventually you want to have one of your young guys come up and take the mantle. But Markstrom took a while to develop. Monty's taken a while to develop. And Spencer Knight is being paid kind of starter money. So let's see. Brian says, I have this feeling that if we let Knight go, it could be the kick in the butt he needs to become the goalie he was meant to be. He could be the next franchise goalie. He has the talent, just mental right now. Yeah. Brian says, question is, do you take that chance right now? All day. Yeah. All day. For Spencer Knight's case, I hope he goes to Edmonton or wherever, somewhere in the Western Conference, and does what Markstrom has done. I want him to succeed. It's just not going to happen here. We are in a 2 to 4 year window where every day we wake up and the only question we have as Panther fans is, are we going to win the cup this year? That's give or take injuries and disappointments, for the most part, that's the window we're in. And Spencer Knight is not going to be a part of that window. I don't believe it. Bob has found the fountain of youth. And it's not like he's that old. He's 35. If you go back and you look at Luongo's last years until his hip gave out in the last year. But if you look at the second and third season to before his last season, he was still Luongo. He was still out there tearing it up at like 37, 38 years old. And Bob has been, knock on wood, healthy. And so there's no reason to believe that you have to just wave Bob off into the sunset in 2 more seasons. I think he's got 4 more in him, to be honest with you. Let's see. Coop says, you know what? Make Panthers great again 2024. Tom says, in the fact that we gave Knight so much money, the rest of the GMs know how good we think he is. Yep, the other 2 guys behind Knight is supposed to be better. Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't know if you guys read this article. I'm not sure if it was George or not. It might have been something else. But it was something that came out over the summer. And basically the idea is, we got this goalie excellence department. Luongo is running it. And the idea for what, and this was Luongo talking, the idea is the owners have said you can draft a goalie every year, and they want a pipeline of these goalies, just one after another, so that the system is just stocked with goalies at any given moment. That is what they're doing, and Luongo was in charge of that. I mean, how lucky can we get? Right? So when I heard that, as soon as I saw that in it, I think it was a visual interview, not a written. But once I saw and heard that, at that point, I knew, Spencer Knight's gone. Spencer Knight's there's no way that we would, in my opinion, I could be wrong. We could wake up next summer and you never know how it goes, but it is what it is. And Trey, last thing here. Mid-30s ain't what mid-30s used to be when we were kids, coming from a 36-year-old pro wrestler. I thought you was in your mid-50s. You look like you're in your mid-50s, Trey. Jeez, I thought you were at least my age, brother. And Tom says, we're the only team in the league with no goal. That's the other thing. We keep getting these guys that off the shelf, and we turn them into Stolars. What Stolars is this year? Alex Lyon. So clearly, when you look at the guys that we've drafted, but also the backups that we've picked, except for Jonas Johansson, for the most part, somebody is in the organization and has a bullseye on go get me that goalie, even if it's just for the backup position. There's somebody, whether it's Luongo, Tallis, a scout, Zito, there's somebody with a bullseye eye, for a guy that will work with our system. It's beautiful. So, Trey. All right, everybody. That's going to do it. The voice is gone. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. I know I'm coming. Here, you want to say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? What do you got to say? Speak. Oh, you're gonna pretend like you weren't getting ready to whine at me? Gotcha. Okay. All right, everybody. Appreciate everybody joining us. Thanks for all the super chats and everything. And I'll have something out tomorrow, video-wise, and then we'll be back on Tuesday. Don't forget to check out. I put out a Dolphins video yesterday for you Dolphin fans on the football channel. And on Friday on the men's channel, I put out Confessions of a Male Massage Therapist, episode 2. That's going to be a running theme on Fridays over there. So, all right. Appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. And girls. Oh, I caught it, Great White. Thank you, Great White. I was just about to hit the end stream. I caught it this time. Just about. I mean, my finger was on the mouse, brother. Thank you, Great White. Much, much, much appreciated, brother. All right, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow.